No, wait. Oh, that's a bad joke. Should I make it?
Yes.
I was going to say, they could be the zaddies.
No.
Sorry.
Hey there. Welcome to the Tabletop Travel Guide, the podcast where we explore fictional worlds and civilizations right from the comfort of our own tables. I'm Tyler.
I'm Sam.
And we are currently missing a host today.
I feel like I'm going to be so thrown off the whole time. I'm like, there's no one sitting to my left.
Going to keep looking to the empty chair to your left. Yes, so Ryan couldn't join us today. There is a sickness going around his family. His daughter got it, then he got it, then his wife got it, so they are having a rough time of it.
So we are not making him run an episode today.
Yes, today was going to be Gravelands, and we actually did record Gravelands, but afterwards we realized that my mic was messed up the entire recording.
And as this is the second time that Gravelands has been recorded, it might be cursed.
Yes.
So fingers crossed we actually get it recorded.
Yes, so Gravelands will be next week, but instead, today we're going to do something a little different. But first, the update you've all been waiting for. We are going to talk through the deity draft.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, it's been a couple weeks since we've talked through this. Since then, the current deities who have been marked safe beyond Pharasma are Caden Kellyan, Asmodeus, Urgathoa, and Erastil. So, what that means for us is Ryan has lost 2. Sam and I have each lost 1.
Yes, but I'm the most recent loss.
Yeah.
So I'm still winning.
Yes, so Sam is currently winning our draft. And for the patrons, after this most recent Erastil being marked safe last week, we only have one person who has a perfect team right now. And that is Rod. So
wow.
Good
Amazing.
job, buddy. But yeah, we still got, I think they're going to do this for 10 weeks. So we're about halfway there, I think. And, we'll see where things shake out. There's still plenty of time for one of us.
There could be an upset.
Yes, the dying deity still gives the most points. So,
that is true.
We'll see.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, so in the spirit of deities and needing to come up with something else to talk about today instead of the Gravelands, I volunteered to talk about more deities.
Heck yeah.
Just there's so much content and there's so many interesting things and we don't get to explore it all the time. So in honor of International Women's Day, which was a couple of days ago, we're going to talk about some cool lady goddesses that are floating around Golarion, mostly because I needed some kind of metric to narrow down what I wanted to talk about. And there are so many cool things. So I went back and forth on, do I want to do like a pantheon? Do I want to talk about like the elven or the dwarves or whatever? And it, ends up with like too many things.
Yes.
So I tried to narrow this down a little bit just to some different deities that I think have really cool stories or just like fun little things in their histories. So we're going to be a little bit all over the place and we're not really going to be tied to good or evil or a location. We're going to grab all the deities today are going to be generally inner sea area, have some pockets of worship. I decided not to go out because I didn't want to ruin Mwangi Expanse until we get there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ruin Tian Sha until we get there. So I'm trying to stick with ones that are still worshipped on the continent that we are currently on.
And are we getting away from the core deities too?
We are. None of these are core deities.
Yeah, we figured they have enough anxiety on their plates of possibly dying, so we didn't want to talk about them.
And I think we've talked about most of the core deities at this point. Not all of them we went over in the deities episode, but I think they at least get a lot of FaceTime with people. So we're going to talk about some deities that don't get necessarily as much FaceTime, just because, they deserve some love too.
Yeah. Did you use any specific books when looking for this episode?
So all of the deities we're going to talk about today are all found in Gods and Magic. One of them is not like a full entry, so I had to pull some stuff from the wiki for her. But for the most part, Gods and Magic was my source book.
Nice. That is a cool book. I can't remember, we were going on a vacation somewhere and I think we needed something to read, and I'm like, oh, we have the Gods and Magic PDF, so we just like read that on the plane, and
it was good. I think that was when I was like, Tyler, I would like to do a deity episode.
Yeah.
The first time.
Cool. Let's dive in, shall we? It still feels weird not having Ryan there.
I know. I'm like, why isn't he talking? Oh, because he's not in the room.
I keep looking across the table.
All right. Well, in honor of Ryan, the first deity that I picked to talk about today is Bry.
Ooh, I've never heard of this one.
So Bry is spelled Brigh, and as much as I can tell, it's pronounced Bry, but I have also heard it as Bree.
Okay.
So we'll go with Bry because I think that's what the pronunciation guide was trying to get across. But as we have all learned, we are all terrible at reading and pronouncing things. So who knows?
We are wrong, let us know.
All right, so Bry is also known as the Whisper in Bronze.
Ooh.
And this is the goddess of clockwork, invention, and time.
Nice.
Which is why I was like, well, Ryan would really like this, but
Sorry,
he's
Ryan.
not here. So the cool thing about Bry, and like most of the deities, we don't actually know what her origins were, so we're kind of lucky with like Iomade and Caden Kelly, and we have their stories because they ascended in more recent history. So Bry is one that we don't, though. So it's kind of up in the air on whether or not she started out as a mortal inventor or if she started out as a construct.
Oh, okay.
But either way, now she's divine, and she appears sometimes as like a clockwork woman, so that kind of hints towards maybe she was a construct, but also maybe just a woman in clockwork armor. Different races will see her as their race in clockwork armor too, which is kind of cool. So we don't know. We don't have a lot of clues from that appearance where exactly she came from, but now she is the patron goddess of inventors and crafters. So her following is not huge.
Yeah. Is there like any specific place that she's worshipped more than elsewhere?
So she exists in some pockets, and I think you could probably take a guess at one of the first ones.
Would it be Alkenstar?
Yes. The largest of her following is an Alkenstar, which we haven't been to yet. But they're going to use a lot more of the technology-based things. Yeah,
Alkenstar is kind of a place where magic is very funky, so they've been forced to use inventions instead.
Yes, and so the other place that we're more familiar with would be Numeria.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
The weird technologies. There's also a decent-sized pocket in Absalom because there's the Clockwork College there, which we haven't been to Absalom yet, so we'll get there. But really in places where there's lots of inventors gathered together, you can find her worshippers. The fun fact for her, and this is why I chose her, her herald is called Latent Mechanism.
Okay. Is that his like God-given Golarian name?
That's the name that Bry gave him.
Nice.
Or it. It's the pronouns are used as it in the literature.
Okay.
But it appears as a clockwork termite, and it can change size at will. It can either like from humanoid up to huge.
Holy crap.
I know. So it prefers research over battle.
Yeah.
But it's a staunch defender of all constructs.
Aw.
I know. It requires some maintenance because it itself is a construct, but it's still effectively immortal since Bry can just rebuild and reactivate it if it's destroyed. The really adorable thing about it is it really loves constructs and builds them as pets and gets really sad if any of them are harmed or destroyed.
Aw, little buddy. It also is kind of funny, just like the herald. When you think of like, when I think of herald, I think of kind of like Iomade, where like on the crest of the hill with a big banner, like leading the charge of, it's like, now the herald of Bry.
A clockwork bug.
Yes, a termite crests the hill. It was like, what up, bros?
But the other like fun thing about it is it's fond of clockwork objects, specifically toys, and those can be used as gifts or payment to get support from Latent Mechanism.
Nice.
So if you're trying to call in a favor from the Herald of Bry, give it a really cool clockwork toy, and I might be more willing to help you out.
I feel like it is also kind of a power move to have a goddess be like, my herald is somebody I created myself.
Right. Like, I made it.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
So you said that Bride is kind of not known where her origins are. Do we know when she started being like worshipped at all?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't find like a start point in history. Bry also appears in Starfinder.
Okay.
So there might be more Starfinder literature that might give a little bit more of a clue to that, but I stuck with Pathfinder.
That's fair. Things. Yeah. We have not hit the Starfinder lore yet. That'll be maybe a couple years down the road.
Right. We have a lot of things on Earth to get to first. But yes, I also thought that this goddess was very cool because I thought of your character who makes toys in one of our campaigns.
Yeah.
Would probably really
that'd be cool.
Like her as a goddess.
Yeah, that one is a magus, so not a very religious character, but that would be pretty cool. Theophstan Rumbuckle.
I really just now, because that is a campaign that I'm running and continuing, I really kind of want there to be a reason for Latent Mechanism to show up. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing, but then I want you to like ply him with toys to get him to help you.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, so that's Bry.
Cool.
So we will move on from our clockwork goddess to a much more mysterious goddess. This is the goddess Savannah.
Okay.
Which is not spelled like the Savannah, Georgia, or the Savannah Desert. In Africa.
Yes.
It's spelled Sivanah, but I'm going to assume it's still pronounced Savannah.
Yeah, like just a little Savannah, like Savannah.
Yeah, it might be Savannah too. Different emphasis. She is known as the Seventh Veil. Her domains are illusions, mysteries, reflections, and secrets.
Ooh.
I know. So as such, she's super mysterious, and there's no record of where she came from anywhere.
I like oh man, we don't want to do as much of a history behind the scenes. Mysterious. Right,
like, was that someone who was like, I don't know, I can't come up with this? Or like, no, it's really a mystery. But anyway, no one knows her real origins.
Okay.
There's some speculation that she originally came from the Shadow Plane, but that's just super debated. It's like, here's our best guess.
Yeah.
So we don't really know. But currently, she is the goddess of illusion magic. She's depicted as a feminine figure disguised by 7 veils.
Nice.
And legends say that the faces under the first 6 veils are each of a different ancestry, and the face under the final veil is her real one.
Huh.
But no one's ever seen it. So, couldn't tell you what it looks like.
I'm just thinking like it just reminds me there was an old 3.5 class called like Initiate of the 7 Veils or like Initiate of the Sevenfold Veils or something. I wonder if there's any sort of inspiration there.
There could have been.
Though it would probably have to be taken out if it was D&D stuff, but
well, so we'll see if Savannah survives the remaster, I guess.
No, but I mean either that or like the prismatic wall, like different veils. I don't know.
So in line with her being super mysterious, her true goals are hidden from everyone, even her followers. So her following hasn't gained a lot of traction.
Yeah.
It's like,
would you like to follow Savannah? Sure. What are her tenets? That's a secret. Oh, will I know if I join? Maybe. Maybe
like,
not.
We don't really know what she wants, but she likes illusions. So cool.
I mean, that's fun. This is fun.
Yeah, so her following is really just like kind of small cults rather than like a full-grown religious following, essentially. The interesting thing is a lot of her followers are gnomes because they appreciate the playfulness of illusion.
Nice. Gnomes are big illusion people, so that makes sense.
So she gets a lot of those. She also has a rivalry with Zon-Cathon.
Okay.
Because she feels he has corrupted the shadows.
Oh.
Because she's like the fun side of shadows, not the like yikes murdery side of shadows.
She's the fun aunt.
Yes. So sometimes she'll just like mess with his cleric's magic because she's annoyed that he's corrupted shadows for everybody.
I support that. Shadows can be playful.
Right?
Does he have any, like, is the rivalry...
Is it one-sided?
Is it one-sided, like...
I don't know that he is necessarily seeing her as a threat. Like,
Yeah.
he's one of the core deities, and she is not. So I feel like it's maybe more of like, she's just over here being mysterious in the shadows, and she's gonna like mess with some stuff, and he's like, whatever, I'm like not gonna
Yeah,
bother
like can't
with
really be
this.
bothered or interesting.
Yeah. So that's her, very mysterious.
Nice. Yeah. Does she have any fun heralds?
I didn't get too far into her heralds. She's one that there's not as much information about because she's so mysterious. And there's not like records of her like necessarily like going to like wars or battles or things like that where you'd see heralds popping up.
Yeah, man, that'd be interesting. That would just be an interesting like cult group to be in, or like just group to be. We gotta follow the deity.
Fun to like throw that cult into like a campaign where it's like you're trying to infiltrate and find something out, and for some reason the party just gets into this weird like mysterious cult that no one can answer any questions about like what they're doing or why.
This cult is being so cagey. They must have a deep secret inside. They're like, bro, we don't know. And
then I want it to be like the combat for that session or whatever is basically like a house of mirrors, because one of her things is reflections.
Okay.
So I don't know why people are trying to get into this cult to get something, but like they have to deal with all these weird cagey people, and then they're basically in a house of mirrors trying to find their way through to get whatever object.
Dang, that'd be pretty cool.
No plot, but I think that would be fun mechanically.
Okay, you arrive at a building. What's our motivation? You're at the building. Shut up. We're going.
You're a party. I don't know why you're here. You need to find this object.
It's fine. I like it.
But yeah, so I think one of the fun things for me with reading through the deities and different things about them is there's always a fun like little plot thread that you can pull from different things where it's not necessarily like I would build a character that's going to be a cleric of the seventh veil, because that would be super confusing, but it might be fun to run into.
Well, I think you also have if you're having trouble kind of picking like a character personality, I feel like picking an interesting deity can kind of help influence the way you react to things. Because like a person who might follow Savannah is, somebody who might be like a gnome who's kind of more playful in shadows, or it might be somebody who's like has secrets and enjoys the kind of secretive nature of Savannah. So like kind of embodies that kind of secretive nature. Yeah, and that's one of the things that they do mention in her like descriptor in Gods and Magic, that like she's also the patron of people who are trying to conceal something or are using an illusion to represent themselves in a different way, whatever that way might be. Nice. But, cool. I like it. So that is her. Our next deity is a bit of a downer. Oh. I am going to do a content warning here. I think I have talked about this deity before, but we're going to get a little bit farther into her. Full disclosure, though, content warning, we are going to talk about suicide a little bit in her history, so if that's not your bag, tune me out for the next 3 to 4 minutes, and then pop back in when we're back with the more normal deity content. There you go. All right, content warning over. We're jumping in. We are going to talk about Nadiri. Oh, okay. Nadiri is known as the Lost Maiden, and her domain is tragic love. Aw. So I bet you can see where we're going. Oh, no. Yes. So Nadiri was once a divine assistant to Shaylin. Okay. Her kind of role in that was she oversaw forbidden relationships. So we know, like, Shaylin is arts, love, woo, fun things. So the idea of forbidden relationships under her, or how I would conceptualize it, would be your deity is giving you courage to pursue this forbidden relationship, or helping you when it feels like it's, too hard to continue the relationship, and helping you choose love over, your family's expectations or whatever other thing. Like that. So that's, I think, the good focus of where the domain was supposed to be. Yeah. However, Nadiri ends up ascending to divinity out of a rather tragic circumstance. A couple that she was overseeing decided to die by suicide rather than fighting against the circumstances of their forbidden love. Ooh. Ooh. It's not great. Yeah. So Nadiri
naturally is rather shocked by this development. Like, that obviously wasn't what she thought was going to happen. And she's afraid of how Shaylin is going to react to this. So she flees and becomes the goddess of romantic tragedy out of this.
Was this the catalyst to make her ascend? So before she was mortal, or like a demigod, or
she was a divine assistant. Okay. So I don't think she was mortal, but she wasn't quite like heraldish. Yeah, so she wasn't at full deity level. Yeah, okay. If that makes sense. Ugh. So the lovers in this situation jumped off of a waterfall and drowned. So now Nadiri is depicted as a pretty young woman who's always soaking wet. Oh, no. I know. This is why this one's the downer.
This is kind of the downer.
It is. But why I think her story is so compelling is all of the relationships in the story. Yeah. So since this occurred, Shaylin has been trying to reconcile and repair the relationship, but Nadiri has kind of like kept her at like arm's length. Yeah. There's lots of apparently operas in Golarion about this particular strained relationship. The interesting things to kind of move out of this is that Nadiri has been moving closer to Urgathoa. Oh no. Due to the idea that love persists even after death. Oh. I know. Right.
Good motivations, bad choices.
I know. And Nadiri's also being courted by the god of accidental death, Xiphis, or Xiphis maybe, who hopes to turn her evil. No. I know. So like, I really feel like there's a lot here from a story content, which I do think could potentially be impacted by whatever happens with the God's Reign prophecies, depending on who dies. And, you know, we've talked about all of that and who might shift. I really want her to have a comeback story, though, which is why I put her in here, because I think the idea of, you know, you're wanting to do something really good and then something really terrible happens, and how do you like overcome and come back from that, I think is a really compelling story. And we're going to talk about a comeback story for someone else later, so I would really love for Nadiri to have a comeback story.
Well, and it, like, I feel like the reaction of, oh no, I was given a job or like given a task by somebody and like really messed it up. I feel like that's incredibly relatable, to be like, I'm very afraid of the consequences. I'm just gonna like run and avoid the situation rather than like try to ask him about it. And even, you know, and even beyond, like you were saying, Shaylin's trying to repair the relationship. I can still see that kind of trauma there. Be like, well, I've already come this far. Like, how could I come back from that?
Yeah, or just like fear of it not going well, even if you do have the conversation, and kind of this idea that like that one bad thing that happened is now causing all of these other weird ripples and pulling her in different directions. Yeah, so I don't know, man, the tragic stories just really make me want something good to happen out of them. Yeah. So I really hope that she gets a happier ending at some point.
It is also kind of fascinating. We are very interested as a society in tragedies as well. Like we obviously have Romeo and Juliet and all types of other like tragedies that we're drawn to. So it's I mean, it's cool to see that parallel in Golarion, how they wrote some in-world stuff like that as well.
Yeah. So that's Nadiri.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she's the most downer of all the people we're talking about today, so we can like start moving upward on the on the sad scale here.
Oh, okay. I mean, you braced us well. We started off with some like good, interesting inventors.
No, and so and for her, the plot hook thing that I think would be really interesting, her divine realm is like this palace that looks like a place where like lovers would meet, right? But it's sad. Yeah. And when you show up there, you have this feeling like you've forgotten something. And she doesn't really have temples. They're just like occasional shrines where people would meet for, you know, their rendezvous. Yeah. So I think there's some interesting plot things. Like I would really love for like a party to encounter like potentially a couple who is worshiping Nadiri and they save them. Paizo, if you're listening, like do an adventure hook where like we have that happen on a large scale and then Nadiri gets to like be happy again. Yeah. But I think there's some again, we're all kind of pulled towards that. Like, it's like a gothic romance a little bit, where it's like kind of the romance piece, but there's darkness in it.
Yeah.
And I always love a gothic romance. So I just think there's some cool setting pieces that you can use through her story to put together a plot and a campaign too.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I like it.
All right. So moving on, we're going to go on the upswing.
Heck yeah.
We are going to move on and talk about Milani.
Okay.
Milani is known as the Everbloom. Her domains are devotion, hope, and uprisings.
Nice. Devotion, hope, and uprisings. What was that last one?
So, how we get there. She was originally a saint in the faith of Eridan.
Okay.
So once Eridan dies, she ends up gaining more followers and more distinction after his death. Pre-Eridan's death, she is one of many saints, essentially, and she doesn't really distinguish herself out like Iomade does. But her particular area that she is over is rising up against unjust rule and repressive regimes.
Okay.
So
nice.
in the fall of Eridan, we have all of this conflict and chaos.
Yeah.
So she actually has a moment of resurgence there because there's so many people with things that are being upended that kind of need that hope.
Nice.
In the uprising. So as such, she is a super popular deity in places like Galt and Cheliax and the River Kingdoms.
That's fair. Okay.
Because there's so much political turmoil.
Yeah.
She has 2 divine realms, too. And we talked a little bit about her divine realms when we went to the plains.
Yeah.
Because she took over a small pocket of Eridan's realm in Axis, and then she has her own separate one. So she's one of the few deities that has 2 out there in the plains.
Nice.
One of the fun facts about her is because she is the goddess of uprisings and, getting out of oppression and all of that, her followers have built safe havens all over Golarion. One of the most famous ones is an inn in Absalom that's known as the Sanguine Thorn.
Ooh.
And it served as a staging point for tons of successful liberation attempts in the area.
Oh, nice.
There was an earthquake that went through this particular area of Absalom and leveled it. But there are rumors currently circulating about a traveling wagon caravan that uses the inn's name to refer to the collective of people who travel with it, and they move from place to place, undermining persecution and fighting for freedom.
Ooh.
So it lives on, even if the building is gone.
Nice. I feel like they would be close to the bellflower tillers over in Ravenel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you are, going to rise up against your government or try to overthrow some dictators, Milani might be a good person to invoke.
Here's Milani's card.
She would love to help you out.
Yes. If you've been wronged by a government, call Milani.
But yeah, she's great. She's depicted as a lady with wings and full armor, and she's got a giant shield. So she's
here for
pretty cool looking.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting like you said, the different levels of inheritance from Eridan's group. The fact that Iomade is the inheritor, quote unquote, but having other deities like Milani kind of take different aspects of.
And I think that because Iomade was identified as the inheritor prior to him dying is a little bit different too, whereas Milani's a little bit of a casualty on the side, but then is still able to, rise up and become something unto her own, which I think is very cool.
She had her own uprising.
Oh. All right, so that's Milani.
Nice.
You ready to move on to our next one?
Heck yeah.
All right, you're really going to like this one. We are going to talk about Nivi Rambadazzle.
Nivi Rambadazzle. I know this one.
Okay, I thought you might.
Yeah, because she's hilarious.
Yes. So Nivi Rambadazzle, also known as the Gray Polychrome, is the gnomish deity of gambling, gems, and stealth.
Heck yeah.
So do you know anything about Nivi's story of how she ascended into
I can't remember
deitydom?
I can't remember the ascension, but wasn't she a gnome that was affected by the bleaching?
So actually no.
Oh.
So she originally was a mortal gnome.
Yeah.
Who loved to gamble
Fair.
And as a mortal, this got her into a lot of debt and a lot of trouble with creditors. Oops.
Yep.
So she flees into the Darklands. She's able to escape her creditors there, and she's also able to stave off the bleaching.
Oh, nice.
She eventually, she wins her divinity from Torag in exchange for a gemstone that she found in the Darklands that I guess he wanted.
Man, that's the real power move.
Right? Hey, I would like to be a deity. Would you like this giant rock I found? Cool.
I am in debt. Escape to the Darklands. Find a rock. Gain divinity.
Perfect. So she emerges from the Darklands as a divine being. She is also thought to be the first umbral gnome.
Ooh.
So umbral gnomes kind of trace their lineage back to her.
Umbral gnomes are kind of like the equivalent of the, like, Duergar or Heringar now, and like the Drow, or right?
Yeah. So she didn't do the bleaching.
Yeah.
But she does look umbral in depictions now. So sometimes she will get followers that are gnomes who are hoping to stave off the bleaching by following her and, what's your secret, lady? But also a lot of gamblers and people who like to take risks follow her.
Risky business.
And her holy symbol is a gemstone that's cut into the shape of a dice.
Perfect.
Which I think is hilarious.
I think one of my favorite parts about gnomes are just their names.
Mm-hmm.
I love the ridiculousness of their names. Maybe Rambedazzle. I saw something that was like, when I was generating names for your campaign, and it was like, the female gnome names are generally shorter, and men's just make no sense. Are like bunch of letters all thrown together.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for our final lady deity?
I'm ready for our final lady deity.
Do you have any guesses on who I chose that's left?
You might have told me.
Oh, shoot. I gave it away. All right. Well, I'll tell everybody else. For everyone else who wasn't in the room with me an hour ago when I was debating who I was going to talk about, we are going to talk about Nocticula.
Heck yeah. We have had several comments and survey responses and stuff asking about Nocticula, because we have covered her slightly, but most people are like, you have not done Nocticula justice, and you're probably right.
I mean, I don't know that I'm going to do her justice right now. I love her. I think she's an amazing story / character arc. So we'll go through stuff about her, but also I fully understand that I will probably not do her full justice.
Oh,
because she's just that cool.
I'm sure you'll do it. You're fine. Better than
All
us.
right, so Nocticula is kind of a twofold type of person here, because Nocticula started out as a succubus in the Outer Rifts. And a succubus, if you're not aware, is a type of demon that typically acts through seduction.
There you go.
So she ascends to power here in the Outer Rifts and becomes a demon lord over the domain of assassins.
I feel like that in and of itself is pretty impressive. Like,
yes.
Going from, I mean, I'm not sure what level of demonhood succubi are, but like to claw your way up to demon lord from there.
Yeah, so she gains the demon lordship, I guess is what we'll call it, by killing other demons.
Nice.
So she essentially like literally murders her way to the top in the Outer Rifts. So at this point in time, she is evil.
Yeah.
And so she could be worshipped as a demon lord from evil people, right?
Yeah.
But as she grows in power as a demon lord, she's taking out these rivals, and she's coming to the realization that she doesn't want to just be a demon lord.
Ooh.
Her goal then becomes leaving evil and her demonic nature behind, and she wants to be a full goddess.
Oh, dang. Nice.
Without the evil qualifiers.
Get it.
Right? And has anyone done this before? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Which is what makes her so cool. So, if you'll recall the Wrath of the Righteous Adventure Path,
yep,
where Discari is defeated and the World One closes, this is the time period where Nocticula takes the opportunity to leave the Outer Rifts. And somehow, when she emerges again into the world, she's a full goddess.
Dang.
There's some stuff about her as well in Rise of the Rune Lords in that adventure path too.
Because isn't she like the benefactor of Sorshin over in New Thassalon?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when she emerges as a new goddess, she is now known as the Redeemer Queen. She has a new realm in Elysium called Midnight's Palette, and she is not evil anymore.
Nice. Wait, what was her demon lord name? Did it have that?
Still Nocticula.
Well, her demon lord title, because if she's Redeemer Queen now.
Her demon
moniker.
title. Her demon title was Our Lady in Shadow, or the Demon Lord of Darkness and Lust. So
that's cool too. Okay.
You know.
But Redeemer Queen.
It's fine. Interestingly, her realm in the Outer Rifts when she was a demon lord was the Midnight Isles.
Yeah.
And now that she has ascended to full goddessdom, her realm in Elysium is called Midnight's Palace.
Ooh.
Or, I'm sorry, Midnight's Palette.
Okay. Like
And
Painter's Palette?
Yes,
Okay.
because she is now the goddess of exiles and artists and midnight.
Nice.
Right? It's so cool. The other funny thing about this is when she comes back into the world as the Redeemer Queen, there is some disagreement among her followers about her intentions when she ascended.
Yeah.
Was she actually leaving the demon nature behind, or is it all a ploy to make it easier to assassinate other deities?
Well, and also that'd be an interesting situation to have to go through as a follower, as an evil follower of Our Lady in Shadow, to be like, wait, is my deity good now? What do I do?
Yeah, so there's two sects of followers that kind of split out at this point. Like those that are like, oh no, she's the Redeemer Queen.
Yeah.
And then those that are like, oh no, this is just like an evil power play. For a while, she grants both sects magic.
Okay.
Like she's kind of like, oh, this is kind of funny. Sure, guys, I'm
she's
not going to really tell you what I'm doing.
She needs to like get that transitional period happening. Like, don't worry, we're gonna cut off service after a certain amount of time, but for now you can keep your grandfathered in.
But yeah, that's what happens, because later she does stop giving divine power to the chaotic evil worshippers and proves that those who were in the cult of the Redeemer Queen are correct, and this is where she is at now.
Man, that's super cool.
Yeah, so that's a comeback story that I really enjoy. She's depicted a little bit differently as a full goddess than how she looked as a demon lord, but she still retains some of the same characteristics. She still has her like bat wings, which is cool.
How is she depicted either way? I don't know. Did you describe that?
I'm gonna let your imagination do a little bit of work on what a succubus would be wearing.
That's fair.
Or not wearing.
That's fair.
She's a little bit more clothed now, but she had the bat wings in both.
Still has some cool bat
forms.
wings. Dead dove, do not eat. Do not know what I expected.
But yeah, so I think she's a really cool non-core deity that would be really fun to have somebody that was a cleric of or a follower of.
Yeah.
And I think her domains are just really interesting and kind of fun to play with too. We usually talk about like the arts in the context of Shaylin.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun to talk about the arts in like the more subversive. And
sometimes you just have to go like as you grow up, you have your Shaylin beautiful arts, and you sometimes like in your teen years you go through your Nocticula phase.
This is all my angsty poetry.
This is my Midnight Palette era.
Yeah, it's true. Taylor Swift did it.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I would love to at some point build a character that has her as a deity, because I think that'd be just fun to play with.
Yeah. It's just cool to see. I know we talked about this when we did the deity episode itself, but it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm not a cleric, I'm not going to deal with deities. But there's just like so much cool flavor and cool like situations and just intra-deity dynamics that are going on that like can help influence a character. Like, if you, like you said with Savannah, like if you were a follower of Savannah and you saw like a Kuthite, Kuthonite,
let's call them Zanies.
Zanies. If you saw a Zani,
no, wait. Oh, that's a bad joke. Should I make it?
Yes.
I was going to say, they could be the Zaddies.
No.
Sorry.
Never mind. No. But if you saw the Zanies, like, you might otherwise not have any interest in that, but if you're
you might mess with them and do funny things.
Yeah, or like, you are a gambler of Rambedazzle and you see some like Torag people, you might be like, hey, we're
They're
kind
my
of
friends.
yeah.
As someone who, like, usually when I'm, like, building plots and campaigns, I have really big ideas and then I struggle with the details.
Yeah.
I find pulling in deities makes it a lot easier for me because there's so many things that, like, oh, I want this particular plot thread, or here's a relationship that already exists. So it's easier for me to kind of pull in some of those, like, tent poles of the society to build things out rather than kind of getting tripped up on trying to come up with details myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, even if you're like a GM, and obviously I do mostly adventure paths, but a lot of NPCs will have follower of whoever and like, so, you know, have a deity that they follow that kind of influences how they react to things, which helps as a GM to be like, okay, as a, you know, they're a follower of Irori, so they're more the like self-perfection monk guy, or like, you know, stuff like that. So
it's also a great way to give out clues if your party is not getting where they're supposed to go. But if someone worships any kind of deity, like, hey, maybe like send up a prayer, or, oh, you're a follower of Nocticula. A paintbrush falls in the street pointing in a direction. I think that's just a great way to help people when they're not sure. Or when you as the GM are like, I don't know how to point people in the direction that I planned. Let me just pull a Deus Ex Machina here.
Yeah, or I mean, you see signs, like your deity shows you things, like, yeah, a paintbrush or a beer mug spills and the shape of the spilt beer points you towards the next thing for Caden Kelly and followers or whatever.
Yes, or I need my party to go into this bar. Oh, one of them's following Nivi. There's a lot of people playing dice out here. You might want to gamble.
Yeah, you have the need to gamble. No, I think it's just cool to have all the different, I mean, I think the Gods and Magic book is not a small book either. And like they have the main deities, the core deities, the non-core deities, the demigods,
there's so many that we didn't even like
imperial
touch on,
lords, the planar lords, the demon lords,
they talk about the outer gods in there too.
Yeah, like just you could grab inspiration from any number of tons of gods.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Sam. This has been an awesome International Women's Day dive into Goddesses of Golarion.
Yes, and while we are terribly sad that we have to push off Gravelands one more week, we hope that Ryan will get better super fast, and we're just really sad that he had to miss this lovely talk about all of these women he definitely wanted to know about.
Yes, we were asking him about recording today, and he was like, I don't know, guys. It might be a little rough, but thank you again to all our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this second deity outing. And if you are enjoying the podcast, tell your friends. Remember, we have a Patreon. Go check it out. It's where we put audio that we cut from episodes. We do other types of posties, other bonus stuff. So go check that out. You can hit us up on Instagram at Tabletop Travel Guide. You can hit us up at our email, tabletoptravelguidepodcast@gmail.com. You can go to our website, tabletoptravelguide.com. That might be changing around soon, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I think that's all we got for today. Until next time.
Safe travels!